A cheating story bar, a bartender served me a drink alongside a note revealing my wife's infidelity. A man at table 7 admitted to sleeping with her. His wife was on her way, armed with evidence in the parking lot. Amidst preparations for my 15-year work anniversary celebration, I was supposed to be reveling in success as vice president of operations. My firm had lavishly rented the Riverside Ballroom, invited 200 colleagues, and even booked a live band. Oddly enough, my wife Colette insisted on planning every detail: the menu, seating arrangement, and guest list. I now recognized that her meticulousness was intended for reasons other than my satisfaction. She had been sending signals of her betrayal for months. The regular early morning cycling meetings, newfound interest in mixology, and altered dressing style were all clues I had chosen to ignore as mere coincidences. I convinced myself I was paranoid, attributing 15 years of matrimony to my wife's right to secrecy. The fellow at table 7 was observing me, around mid-40s, well-dressed in an expensive suit, a wedding ring glinting under the light. He made a joking gesture with his glass. My grip on the note grew tighter until my knuckles turned white. I had two options: create a scene and let him dictate the story, or remain composed and hear what his wife had to say. Throughout my career, I've navigated crisis situations, product recalls, facility accidents, attempted takeovers. I could handle this. I walked toward table 7, where he offered me a friendly grin as if we were long-lost friends. "Julian Marsh, delightful to truly meet you, Brennan. Your wife often mentions you, I presume." I pulled out a chair and sat without invitation. "Your wife is on her way." His smile faded. "My what?" The bartender gave me a heads up. "Your wife," with evidence. "She's supposed to arrive in." I glanced at my watch. Approximately 90 seconds, the color drained from his face. "That's impossible. Miranda doesn't know anything." "Miranda," I echoed, recalling his name. "Fascinating, your wife didn't mention you had a partner." He abruptly rose. "This appears to be a misunderstanding. I should depart." "Remain seated, Julian." My tone was the one I used with suppliers attempting contract renegotiations. "If you leave now, there will be a scene. If you stay, we may both find some answers." He remained. Colette was on the other side of the room, laughing with my boss and his wife. She donned the emerald dress bought for our anniversary. Her hand frequently touched the diamond necklace at her throat, supposedly from her mother's estate, a fact I had never doubted. "Why would I?" A woman entered the ballroom, around 40, professional attire, carrying a large manila envelope. She systematically scanned the room until her gaze met our table, her expression as cold as ice. Julian tried to stand again, but I held his wrist. "Stay. Sit." Miranda arrived at our table and placed down the envelope with the caution of someone handling explosives. "Mr. Brennan, I assume this is Brennan. I'm Miranda Keller. It seems we need to discuss some unusual activities regarding our spouses." "I'm all ears." She unfolded the envelope and scattered photos on the table like a dealer at a casino. Images of Colette and Julian at an unfamiliar restaurant, entering a hotel on a Tuesday afternoon, and on a beach recognized as Catalina Island, where she had claimed to have a girls' weekend 2 months ago. "There is more," Miranda continued, her voice calm but strained. "However, I want you to understand how I discovered this first. Julian mentioned he was attending a medical device conference in Phoenix last month, being a pharmaceutical sales rep. It didn't strike me as odd." She looked me straight in the eye, and I saw my own deception mirrored there. "Yet his company's conference schedule is publicly available, and there was no such conference in Phoenix." She produced a credit card statement as proof. A yellow highlighter underscored suspicious restaurant charges in our city on days Julian supposedly traveled. "I employed a private investigator, costly yet valuable. That's how I discovered the apartment." "Apartment?" I unconsciously questioned. "Display it," Miranda instructed Julian, who appeared nauseous. "Show him," she said. Julian's hands trembled as he retrieved his phone, revealing a document and pushing it toward me. I read through the lease agreement for an Arts District apartment. 2 signatures adorned the contract: Julian Marsh and Colette Brennan, my wife's name, on a lease I was unaware of for an apartment I had never visited. They had signed it 8 months prior. Miranda provided further details. The 1-year lease cost $1,500 monthly, with payments equally split between them. I later found the canceled checks in Julian's home office. He had meticulously concealed them within his business expenses folder under medical supplies. The room seemed detached, as if I were observing someone else experiencing this revelation. 8 months later, Miranda asserted the sequence of events, presenting additional papers, bank statements, calendar notes, and receipts. The affair had begun roughly 11 months prior, initiated at a charitable event for pediatric cancer research. Your wife was part of the planning committee, while Julian's business served as a sponsor. They allegedly exchanged numbers for networking reasons. Miranda underlined the last two words with disdain. In less than 3 weeks, they had spent the night together. Within 2 months, they had leased an apartment, dubbed their interim residence. It offered a sanctuary where they could meet without fear of neighbors or colleagues observing them. Julian told me he was keeping inventory there. Your wife, on the other hand, disclosed to you what exactly I recalled 8 months ago. She claimed she had joined a literary club that met every Wednesday evening. Miranda confirmed this information about the gatherings on Wednesday nights. That same evening, Julian held regional sales meetings. It was remarkable how their schedules synced so flawlessly. More photos, these were intimate shots of Colette and Julian. They were cooking in a kitchen that was unfamiliar to me, and in another, Colette and Julian sat on a couch with her head on his shoulder, wine glasses on the coffee table. They appeared comfortable, domestic, like a genuine couple. The detective installed cameras in the hallway of their apartment. Miranda mentioned, "It's entirely legal as it's a public corridor. I have 63 hours of footage documenting their comings and goings, time-stamped and dated, which can be admitted in court." Court, I repeated dazedly. Yes, she was filing for divorce. Full custody of our 2 daughters, she had already consulted with 3 lawyers. The evidence is compelling. She turned to Julian. "Your settlement will be quite costly." He eventually found his voice. "Miranda, please, let's discuss this privately," she retorted sharply. "Did you imply that for 11 months, you and Colette conversed privately while deceiving me all the while? Your absence from our daughter's dance recital, attributed to a sudden client dinner, was actually a tryst with another man's wife." The surrounding patrons were becoming curious. Conversations halted as I observed Colette continuing her discussion with my boss, unaware of the impending upheaval in her life. Miranda had one more revelation. She presented a final document. This form was from a fertility clinic. Patient names: Colette Brennan and Julian Marsh, dated 3 months ago. My heart constricted as I asked what it was. They were considering IVF options, Miranda confirmed matter-of-factly. "It seems your wife intended to conceive Julian's child, as indicated by the extensive consultation notes. They deliberated on various aspects, such as timing, postponing until after your younger child completed high school to minimize disruption. They also discussed finances, merging their divorce settlements for joint house ownership. Additionally, they pondered over how to inform everyone involved. A substantial part of the notes outlined strategies to mitigate damage during their transition into an authentic relationship. However, the meaning of the words left Colette yearning for a baby with this man, building a future with him, a future that necessitated the dissolution of 2 marriages, causing immense distress to 4 children between you and herself, and diminishing 15 years of your life into a mere placeholder arrangement. Julian inquired feebly about how the medical records were obtained. However, you hadn't. Instead, the clinic emailed a follow-up that wasn't properly deleted, and emptying the trash folder was insufficient. Colette subsequently recovered 17 deleted emails detailing their plans. Her expression remained devoid of humor. Additionally, I uncovered an email from Colette suggesting she could arrange our meeting this week, using her party for promotions as a pretext. Brennan would likely be so engrossed in his big night that he wouldn't notice if she disappeared for an hour, providing us the opportunity to celebrate our future together. She had offered to organize this celebration, since it would give her an opportunity to slip away with him during my own event. As I stood up, my chair made a loud noise against the floor, drawing several gazes towards us. "What are you planning to do?" Miranda inquired. Upon looking at her, I realized she had spent money on an investigator to recover deleted emails, accumulated evidence for months, and perhaps cried herself to sleep while maintaining a normal appearance for her family. She knew that exposing the truth was more important than protecting her comfort. So I declared, "I'm going to retrieve my wife, and then we will have a discussion." Miranda produced another photo, showing Colette and Julian seemingly in a jewelry store. It was taken 2 weeks back. They were trying on engagement rings. Miranda murmured, "This was taken when you thought they were shopping with friends. Julian bought the ring she picked, $3,200. It's now in his safety deposit box." Verified by the bank, he had accessed this box 6 months ago to conceal assets from you. Miranda collected her papers systematically. "I'm leaving now. I've given you all necessary data. The investigators report, video files, financial records. They're on this USB drive." A contact for your attorney is also included in case you need a reference. She plopped down a small flash drive on the table. I advise you to document everything tonight before Colette has a chance to erase evidence. Why assist me? I inquired due to Julian humiliating me and Colette humiliating you, but I won't allow them to humiliate our children. My daughters should know their father made this decision intentionally. Your kids should learn that their mother did the same. Not some watered-down narrative about people drifting apart or things not working out. They chose this deliberately for 11 months. She looked at Julian one last time. Your belongings will be on the lawn by tomorrow morning. The locks have been altered. 1. The bank accounts are now inaccessible. I submitted the initial documents this afternoon. My lawyer will reach out to yours on Monday morning. Do not return home, do not contact our children nor me except via legal means. Then she left, her back straight, head held high. She dropped a nuclear bomb and vanished before the aftermath. Julian covered his face with his hands. I need to get my lawyer. No, I told him, you stay here while I manage this situation. Once we've both departed, you will disclose everything. Where our apartment is located, what falsehoods you have spoken, and all other schemes you have devised. Miranda was gracious enough to provide me with evidence, but I want to hear it from your mouth in its entirety. Each detail, and if you decline, I moved closer. Stride towards the microphone, halt the speeches, clarify to a crowd of 200 individuals which include my superior, 3 board members, and a business journal reporter, the rationale behind why my spouse's boyfriend disrupted my promotional event. I will ensure they spell your name correctly. He remained seated. With each stride, it felt like navigating through solidified concrete. Colette observed me approaching and smiled, a smile I had cherished for 15 years, yet one that had been deceiving me for 11 months. Brennan, are you enjoying yourself? Your boss was recounting to me the Singapore project details moments ago. We need to converse. I declared we should step outside. Her smile faded, inquiring if something was amiss. Table 7, I murmured softly, your boyfriend is there. Color drained from her face as it had Julian's. She glanced toward the table, noticed him seated there, saw the envelope, scattered photographs, and flash drive. I can justify, she whispered, but I don't seek explanations. Instead, I demand you to follow me discreetly so we avoid causing a spectacle. We are leaving this place, getting in my vehicle, and you will explain everything. If you decline, I'll reveal what I learned tonight to everyone present. She looked at my boss. Friends surrounded her at the constructed reality based on deceit. Outside we stepped, Julian trailing 3 steps behind with a condemned demeanor. The nearly empty parking lot was fragranced with jasmine and treachery. I retrieved the small recording device from my car for depositions. Begin speaking, both of you. I need details, dates, locations, decisions, everything. This conversation is being recorded. If untruths are spoken and later discovered, your impending divorces will incur additional costs. Tears filled Visit's eyes. Brennan, please, for how long have you been planning to leave me for him? The question lingered, she hesitated, eventually 6 months. We planned to wait until after your promotion was confirmed. We wanted to prevent stress from impacting your work. The laughter that escaped seemed out of place, thoughtful. It wasn't like that. It happened without intention. The fertility clinic played a role. 3 months ago, you informed me that you wanted his baby. Were you planning to tell me it was mine? Your silence implied as much. Finally, Julian spoke. The plan was to announce it in early next year, file for joint custody simultaneously, inform our families over the holidays, allowing everyone time to adjust before legal proceedings began. We presented this as a mutual decision. Both marriages had reached their ends. We'd found a connection with each other, enabling everyone to move forward with grace. Grace, I repeated, you secretly rented an apartment, planned pregnancies, tried on engagement rings, but yes, we were aiming for discretion. You argued that the kids were at sensitive ages. Trying to make the transition as smooth as possible required lying for 11 months, waiting for the right moment. I displayed a USB drive Miranda had given me, containing 63 hours of surveillance footage, bank statements proving you funded a second residence, emails discussing our divorces before we knew they were happening, fertility clinic records, jewelry store receipts, calendar entries, credit card statements, and documentation of every lie you've told over the past year. I looked at my wife, the woman I intended to grow old with. You stood by me at my father's funeral 2 months ago. You held my hand while I delivered his eulogy. You promised to always be there for me. Yet during that entire time, you were planning to leave me for him. Tears streamed down your face. I love you, you said. I never stopped loving you, but this is about something else. I couldn't bear to hear more. You were to leave the party, go to your sister's house. Tomorrow, you would receive documents from my attorney outlining asset freeze procedures and separation terms, which you could either sign or contest, but you wouldn't return home until the legal process determined who got what. Our children would be given an age-appropriate version of the truth, protecting them without deceiving them. If you attempted to manipulate that narrative, I would show them everything Miranda had shown me. "Brennan," you pleaded, "did you ever love me? In 15 years, was any of it real? Your hesitation said it all. I walked away from the party alone. The music played, people danced. My boss sought me to make a congratulatory speech. I found the event coordinator and informed her of a family emergency, assuring her everything was fine, just unexpected. I could proceed without me. I returned home in silence. The house felt empty despite being filled with our belongings, photos on the walls, books on the shelves, the coffee maker you bought last Christmas, every item a reminder of what I thought we had shared. I contacted my attorney's emergency line, left a detailed message requesting a Monday morning meeting. Then I called my brother, explained what transpired, and asked him to stay with me for a few days. He arrived 90 minutes later with overnight bags and no questions. "What can I do?" he asked. "Help me document everything in this house before she returns," I replied. "I want photographs, inventories, account statements, everything. I want a record of what existed before the divorce lawyers began dividing it." We worked until 3 a.m. My brother photographed every room. I compiled financial documents, printed bank statements, gathered tax returns, found her book club calendar on her desk and photographed each Wednesday entry, discovered receipts from restaurants I'd never visited, found a card hidden in her sweater drawer, signed by Julian, to my future wife. The following morning, I changed the security codes on our accounts, transferred half of our joint savings to a new account she couldn't access, not to steal, but to prevent her from emptying it first. I documented the transfer with my attorney's guidance. She texted around noon, "Can we please talk?" "Tomorrow, you'll obtain paperwork via attorneys, as my attorney Gideon Wheeler, a family law specialist recommended by my brother, scrutinized Miranda's evidence the previous afternoon. In his assessment, he whistled in admiration, stating it was the most comprehensive documentation he had encountered in 2 decades. The surveillance footage alone is damning, while the financial records suggest premeditation, and the fertility clinic consultation will likely be crucial. She was intentionally undermining the marriage while continuing to financially profit from it, planning her departure yet retaining access to shared income, health insurance, assets. This is considered marital fraud in our state. This act affected the determination of spousal support during the 8-month divorce process, where Colette fiercely contested every aspect including asset division, timeline, and storyline. Her lawyer presented her as a woman who had found happiness after years of emotional neglect, but my attorney countered with surveillance footage that did not resonate with the judge. Consequently, she received minimal spousal support for 2 years to finish her nursing degree, but it was not enough for retirement on my earnings. The house was sold and the proceeds were divided. Our retirement accounts were split. She got her car while I got mine. Our children found it difficult. Our oldest, aged 17, stopped talking to her for 6 months, while our youngest, aged 14, spent time between us but posed questions Colette struggled to answer, like, "Why did you lie? Why didn't you choose to divorce your father if you were dissatisfied? If I were to conceive a child with someone else while still married, Miranda's divorce was messier. She had stronger proof and greater incentive. She gained primary custody, 70% of assets, and his retirement fund. He lost his job. His company didn't tolerate the scandal surrounding a competitor's wife at a business function. By then I heard he was selling insurance and living in a small apartment. Colette and Julian attempted to salvage their relationship. But it only lasted 5 months following the finalization of both divorces. As it turned out, a relationship built on deceit and illusion cannot endure once it becomes reality. Little did we know. 6 months after everything settled, I encountered Miranda at a coffee shop near the court. She was going over documents. She recognized me and smiled genuinely this time, not the forced grin she wore that night. "How have you been? Did you notice if the girls are adapting better since you're around more, as I have a new partner now, a decent man. Nothing overly committed yet, but it seems beneficial for me." Pausing for a moment, "I've heard about Colette and Julian splitting up, same here. Couldn't help but wonder, do any of these news bits make you reconsider our past?" Reflecting on it, the truth ruined my marriage, it shattered my children, It drained me financially and emotionally, yet the alternative was perpetuating a lie as my wife planned her departure and treated me as a mere financial placeholder. No, I don't regret it, she agreed. Last week, my daughters asked if I was happy I divorced their father. I told them I was glad I uncovered the truth. Even though it hurt, they deserved honesty. You deserved honesty too, we both did instead of being deceived. We talked for 20 minutes, shared attorney nightmares, brainstormed co-parenting strategies, exchanged contact info for advice on post-divorce complications. As I left, she called out, "Thank you for remaining composed that night. You could have made a scene or declared everything in front of the entire ballroom, but you gave me the chance to handle it with grace. I've never forgotten that." I returned home to my new, modest apartment mine without ghosts, lies, or false memories. My promotion had come through despite everything. I'd earned the position as Vice President of Operations after 15 years. I attended the celebration party, though missed it. My boss sent me the details via email: new salary, benefits, and responsibilities. However, none of it felt significant compared to what it should have been. I focused on work, established a new routine, sought therapy to deal with the betrayal, gradually rebuilt relationships with my children, taking them out for dinner every Wednesday, their night for Colette's book club. We didn't discuss her unless they brought it up. A year after the divorce, my eldest asked about that night, how I remained so composed. Because I explained, making a scene would have given them the narrative. They would have been victims of my anger instead of architects of their choices. I wanted the truth to overpower my emotions, so I let it speak. She nodded thoughtfully. "Mom still claims you blindsided her, but she was the one who blindsided me, right?" "Right." She hugged me then, 14 months after learning that her mother had destroyed our family for a man she met at a charity event. "I'm proud of you, Dad, for handling it well." I held her close, feigning composure as tears streamed down my face. The truth ended my marriage, but it preserved my dignity. And in the end, that was more valuable than the illusion I had lived in.